Only Fools and Horses to the long-suffering Granville in Open All Hours. So David Jason has brought us some of the best-loved characters in British television.
But you know what? I've been to have a chat with him. One role he's not taking too seriously is when he was formally made a national treasure as part of the Jubilee celebrations this year. He's been telling me in an exclusive interview for breakfast. Ready? That's going to really confuse things.
Yes!
How have the last couple of years been, the pandemic and the changes to life?
Well, for a time there, I was fine. And then a couple of 3 months ago, I went to, I'll tell you what happened. I went to the Fairford Air Show and I caught the dreaded COVID. And did I get it bad? I got it seriously bad.
How did it affect you? What happened?
I got out of the bed in the early hours to make a visit, and because of all the muscles weren't working, I collapsed. My arms wouldn't work and my legs wouldn't work. So being a very creative and inventive person, as what I am, I thought, how will I get from here to the door? So, you know walruses, when you see walruses, if you watch David Attenborough, so how they walk on land, they crawl on land. That's what I did. But in order to do that, I had to use my head. So now I'm lying face down on the ground, and in order to get to the door, the arms really weren't working, the legs weren't working. I'm sorry about this, but this is what happened. I was using my head to drag me to the door. So just as I got to the door opened, and I was going to say it whacked me on the head, but it wasn't. It was my good lady wife, and she managed to help me get back into bed. But later on, the next day, I got carpet burns all down my forehead and across the top of my nose. So I think I'm the only person who had COVID and carpet burns.
At the same time?
At the same time, yeah.
A bit of improv as a walrus.
Well, yes.
I'd love to see a video of that.
Well, thank God she wasn't with her phone, because probably that was the first thing she would have done.
The last 2 years, they're apart from the COVID towards the end, but I mean, how have you found the pandemic, the lockdowns, the working from home, the Zooms? Is it such a change from the face-to-face stuff you've done all your life?
I am not a fan of it, and so I've had to draw a line and say, no, it's never very flattering, and you've got people. What happens, I'll just tell you quickly, what happens when I see it, when you are interviewing somebody from about something or other, and they've got the Zoom in their front room or wherever it is. As soon as that happens, my mind drifts off. I can't hear what they're talking because I'm looking at the thing, but there's a picture behind their head, and I'm going, what's that picture? What is that? I wonder if that's worth money there. Or is it an amateur? No, she's probably done that herself. And they go, oh, sorry, what was he saying? I don't know what he was saying. She's got a nice picture in his living room.
Well, I tell you what, people will be watching this now, and they'll be looking behind your head, and they'll be looking at those very fancy shelves with the leather books behind you, and they'll be saying, my goodness, David Jason lives in a pretty posh place. Explain where we are and the significance of this, and to the book as well.
It's a place called Hartwell House, and it's lovely. And I used to come here quite a lot to help me with my writing, because it was so quiet. Because if you're at home, I mean, you can't, can you? You can't really concentrate, because the good family that you have will, if you're in a room somewhere, you say, I'm just going to do a bit of writing now, love, okay? They say, yes, no, that's all right. And you just start, put your pens down, you go, Dave, yes? What is it? Is somebody on the phone do you want to speak to them? Who is it? It's a man from the BBC. Oh, the BBC. Well, what do they want? What did I have to do an interview with you? And so you go, oh, wait, I'll forget that. I won't bother.
Come here instead.
I'll come here instead. And then who do? I come here, and then who's here? The BBC.
In the book, you talk about Christmas and how kind of so many points in your life and career come down to Christmas. In fact, the very first time you appeared on television was Christmas Day.
I have to tell you that I played the King of Gooseland.
It was Mother Goose,
Yes, it was Mother Goose, yes.
the BBC pantomime,
Yeah,
Christmas Day 1965.
my first appearance on television, yes.
Do you know what?
No?
BBC Breakfast has been into the BBC archives. It's probably a while since you've seen this, if ever. But if I press this,
Oh, God. Where did you get this from? How embarrassing is that?
you're one of the policemen, is that right?
Yeah. The flying policeman. The police ballet, I think they called it. I can't remember which one is me, but there was... It's ridiculous. It was, unfortunately, I can see the funny side of it, but I don't think it was that funny, really.
When did you last see this?
Well, when it went out Christmas Day, 1965.
Really?
Yeah. Dear, oh dear. How embarrassing is that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. You don't show that to the people at home, please.
I think it's too late.
The what?
I think it's too late.
Get my agent on the phone, will you?
What do you remember about when it appeared on television that Christmas evening? Did the family all gather round to see?
Oh, yeah, of course it was. Yeah, it was a major event. It was not, well, you've got to think about it. It was a poor, ordinary, working class family, and suddenly, because television was still quite new then, it wasn't like it is in everybody's house, like it is today. It was just beginning to get there in everybody's house. But then to have one of your own, one of your family, actually on the television itself was an amazing achievement. But what I had to do was constantly say to my family who were watching it, and to say, that's me, that's me, that one. Who? Which? The villager that is... Oh, he's gone now. But that was me, the one that said to the girl there, can you have a dance?
They must have been so proud to see you there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they were quietly, but then they were a sort of family that never made a big deal of it, not big fuss. My father would just sit there going, you silly bugger. Is that you flying about as a policeman? Yeah, I thought so. You know, we talk about being humbled, whack you down, instead of going the other way. That's you, that's a marvellous, well done, son. It was always the opposite. But anyway, it was a great achievement, let me put it that way.
2022, you were officially declared a national treasure as part of the Jubilee celebrations.
Oh, yeah.
What was that like?
Well, listen, it's very difficult to take it seriously. You know, I call when anybody happens, I said, oh yeah, that's right, I'm a leg end. I'm a leg end that keeps either side of a television still working occasionally. So
A living leg end.
A living leg end, that's me.
It must have been special to be part of the Jubilee celebrations. Now we know that the Queen passed away just a few months later. To have been part of those Jubilee celebrations of the 70 years of her reign, now, looking back on it, must have been even more special.
Well, yeah, it really was. But what did happen was, that really did surprise me and bring a smile to my face, was that you got the great coach coming down, you got all the soldiers and the horses and the pageantry and all the wonderful things. They're all trotting down, and the gold coach and all of this. And then I sort of look up the mall, and down there comes a bloody trotter's van. And you go, I don't believe this. Why is the trotter's van there? But it was because it was part of the national identity, if you like. And it did make me laugh and bring a smile to my face.
I'm just thinking now to the winter 2022, a lot of people going through really tough times, cost of living crisis. I'm trying to imagine, how would the trotters be dealing with this? How would Dell be reacting to the cost of living crisis?
Bless him, John Sullivan, the creator, the writer, is unfortunately no longer with us. But John would have grabbed that by the scruff of its neck and he would have come up with some plans, and he would have wrung some real humour out of the situation.
But Del Boy would have come up with a scheme to make a bit of cash, wouldn't he?
No way, pal, would he have hurt any of our humble people who live in and work in this country. But if there was a few quid to be made, yes, of course.
Out of all those Christmas specials that you've done over the years, the Only Fools and Horses ones, what's your favourite scene, your favourite episode? What would you?
Oh, I don't know, there's so many. I suppose one which, because the silliness of the joke was to Hull and back.
Yeah.
Was the most expensive joke in British television, I think.
Oi! Oi! Jon! Holland? What? Which way to Holland? Holland? It's over there! Cheers, pal! Albert, it's to the right. Holland is that way. Thank you. Rodney Street? Don't know the way, you just got to ask someone, ain't you?
We were out in the middle of the ocean to the oil rig just to do that one line.
It was worth it.
But it was worth it, yeah.
So David Jason, thank you so much for joining us on Breakfast.
Pleasure.
Lovely to meet you.
Yeah, thank you.
He's fabulous, isn't he?
Isn't he great?
He's so good.
We did sit and talk for hours. We had to sit down.
So that was the most expensive joke in British television at the time. It was funny.
Yeah. They hired the boats. They went to the oil rig. They went all the way out to sea.
Holland.
Yeah.
It's that way.
It's classic. I really want to watch that episode again.
I think we should.
Have to stream it somewhere. So David's book, The 12 Dells of Christmas, is out now.
It is 8